Brawlers, what's up, boxing fans? It's your boy Mohamed, Brawlers Sports Media in the building. This is the Brawlers Sports Boxing Show. Well, last night we got to see my man, the reigning featherweight WBC world champion, Mr. Gary Rusell Jr. lose his crown to Manny Pacquiao's protege under the Manny Pacquiao Promotions banner, Mark Magsayo. But Gary Rusell had revealed that after the fight, he sustained an injury. He said minor injury. It was more than just minor because it affected his ability to perform at the level he was used to, performing at and what he was used to giving his fans. However, he had a tendon from previous fights in the amateurs, he said, that had been ailing and bothering him and antagonizing him, but he was able to fight through it and build muscle around it per his doctors because he didn't want to have surgery. So now it looks like he's forced into having that surgery after all. But let's talk about this fight, shall we? Mark Magsayo, Manny Pacquiao's protege, don't get me wrong. He's a tough kid, young, hungry, came from the same crappy streets and the province of General Tso's out there in the Philippines where Manny Pacquiao was from. Manny Pacquiao said he saw him on the street hustling, selling, I believe, ice cream, and saw a lot of himself in this kid. So he took him and put him under his wing, brought him to LA to train with Freddie Roach at Wildcard Boxing in North Hollywood, where he trains and have trained for pretty much his entire career, and to be standing there training every day with your idol and the legendary Manny Pacquiao. I'm sure that was something for Mark Magsayo. But Gary Rusell, even though he was the One Arm Bandit last night, he still displayed why he is the 6-year reigning champ for so long. His skill set is so phenomenal. The guy's ring generalship, the ring savvy, his footwork, the way he slips and rolls under the punches, spins you, turns you, and he's not there. He's very elusive in the ring, kind of somewhat like a Lomachenko, if you will. So, and that being said, when you have a disadvantage like that in your opponent who's missing a whole arm, so he couldn't jab, couldn't set his punches up or nothing. So his power punch, which was his left hand, which is his dominant hand, he was jabbing with that like he was a righty, if you will, conventional. And throwing straight lefts all night, pop, 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 lefts to the body, uppercut, left hooks, and he just had this one arm. And he was so slick in the ring. I mean, I would have felt Magsayo was still frustrated with this, because with the guy having one arm, you should have dominated him where you could walk right through him, touch him up real nice, and probably get him out of there. But he couldn't do that because Gary Russell's so skilled, man. He is by far one of our best champions ever that we've seen in the sport of boxing. His skill set, he off the chain. I felt like if he had both his hands, I think he would have some success in touching up Mark Magsayo and stopping him. That being said, not to steal the shine from Mark Magsayo, congratulations to Team Magsayo. You did a great job. You did what you had to do. No excuses. Unfortunately, Gary Rusell was not going to come out of that fight with a win or a draw in no form, shape, or size, if you will. In the 12th and final round, he won that round from all 3 judges, if you will. And one judge had a draw, 114-114. But, I mean, like I said, one arm, you're not able to produce the ratio, the massive amount of punches that they're counting on CompuBox, if you will. So you can't package that all up and get a W out of that with one arm. He did his thing, and like he said, he gave the kid a boxing lesson, and he did give this guy a boxing lesson, and he schooled him and showed him why he's the reigning world champ for 6 years and several months going into this fight. Now, the thing of it is, the gentleman thing would be to do, and the good sportsmanlike conduct thing would be for Mark Magsayo and his team is to grant Gary Rusell a rematch, since he took him as his mandatory, and he had sustained this injury 2 weeks before stepping in the ring last night, which was definitely grounds for him to say, you know what, I got to pull the plug on this. I got 6 years holding this belt. I'm not about to give it up and go out like this. But like he said, he was You know, he was eager and anxious to get back in the ring. He hadn't fought in close to like 2 years. Pandemic hit. You know, he fights only like once a year anyway. So he was already in 2 years man down, you know, just hanging out, sitting around. And he wasn't about to back out and disappoint his fans and have to have PBC find a replacement in such short notice. So he took that fight injured. A lot of fighters do this. It's not a good practice, but when you got the heart of a champion and this is what you do and this is how you earn your pay and this is what you've been loving giving the fans on a yearly basis throughout your entire career, this is what world champs do. This is why Mr. Gary Rusell Jr. is one of the best world champions we've had. And I must say he's carried that torch, nothing other than a gentleman and a true champion. So, you know, that's where we are with Gary Rusell. Let's see what happens. Get some surgery if needed. Get his shoulder back intact, and then let's see if he can negotiate Magsayo, Team Magsayo, and my man Sean Gibbons, who manages him, to give Gary Rusell a rematch. Because I mean, you got to ask yourself, hey, what if Gary Rusell had both his hands? He fought superbly with one hand. His movement, his timing. It wasn't much. I didn't see much ring rust on Gary Rusell Jr. Let me tell you, his footwork was phenomenal. He moved gracefully. He let his hand go, the one he had. And, I mean, if he had both hands, he would have been much more effective. A much bigger punch count, stats, ratio, power punches, if you will, the whole 9 yards. Hey, but like I say, a win is a win. Team Magsayo, they did their thing. Congratulations to the new WBC Featherweight Champion of the World. I'm sure we'll see Gary Rusell back in the near future once he gets his arm, his shoulder under control. And, you know, definitely want to send our prayers out to him and his family. He's endured a lot outside of that ring with his pops being ill and having an amputation and all. That takes a toll on your body. As you all know, for those of you who don't understand boxing, boxing is mostly mental. About 90% of it is mental. The other 10% is the physical capabilities of preparing yourself, getting in the gym, training camp, etc., etc. So, you know, hey, let's send some prayers up for the Rusell family and to his pop, Gary Rusell Sr., if you will. And let's hope that he pulls through, gets stronger, and not have to go back into the hospital as we all saw him ringside last night, watching his son, hear his voice, knowing his presence is in the building. And, you know, Gary Russell's a stand-up dude, so he'll be back. Once again, this your boy Rick Mohamed, Brawler Sports Media in the building, and that's the update on last night's WBC Featherweight Championship of the World versus Mr. Gary Rusell Jr. versus Mark Magsayo. Filipino, sensational, young, up-and-coming, hungry Manny Pacquiao protege. Till next time, let's go, Chair.
Brawlers, baby.